Today is all about making progress for the Patriots. The goal is simple: finish simming this season and have the next episode kick off with what is most important to this team now, and that is the postseason, and hopefully, more importantly, winning in the postseason. We got off to a pretty good start. You see Chase Dawson's performance, the overtime win, a ridiculous play by Amari Cooper to get us there. Hopefully, that is a sign of things to come. When it comes to scouting in this upcoming draft, I still think running back is going to be relatively important, but the odds of us getting a top-notch running back, I think, might be pretty slim. We still have about a year and a half to go left with Sony Michel before we might have to start worrying about it, but it is something to consider. Wide receiver is also something to consider, the aforementioned Amari Cooper now being 29 years old. So there may be a little bit of a focus on the offensive side of things for the scouting to kick things off. But we've had pretty good luck over the first couple of seasons in terms of being able to scout everybody that we've wanted to. So I'm feeling pretty good about our ability to do so yet again. So we'll handle scouting first before taking a look at who needs to be re-signed. And we start off with the running backs. There are two who are projected to go, both out of Northeastern colleges. The BC Eagles, Taylor Spencer, who is pretty damn good. And the New Hampshire Wildcats are Ron Wilcox. I was going to say Juan Wilcox because that's what kind of day it is today. He's not looking that good. Witherspoon, okay, Vernon Underwood might have a little bit more going for him. And he does, but shockingly, he's only a third-round option. What else do we have here? Anything better than a B? A B plus and a B minus? Yeah, that kind of cancels out. So, again, if we take anybody, it's likely to be Taylor Spencer, although he is an elusive back, so he could provide a decent 1-2 punch with Sheffield, but we're already moving on towards scouting wide receivers. The one position in Madden this year, I mean, I guess just in general, wide receiver and running back, I have had no luck whatsoever. Maybe that's a lie, maybe a little bit of luck, but it has been so damn difficult in terms of finding top-notch talents in these two positions. Carson McCullough is the only wide receiver projected to go in the first round. Holy shit. Case in point about having bad luck. Wow, that is abysmal. Good God, man. The next three are okay, but holy hell. First round projection, huh? I don't think so. That's horrific. In terms of the re-signings, the options right now, Amari Cooper. He's 29. I don't think we want to be handing him that contract. There's not a hope in hell. He's worth it, but you can see now he's already showing up as an 87. The regression's going to kick in for Amari Cooper. This is his last year here. It has to be. He's 29. He's already dipped a little bit. I'm not paying him anymore. He'll still be useful. Like, he'll still be a mid-80s player, but I'm not paying a mid-80s player $11 million to see. That's just not going to happen. So this will be Amari Cooper's final season here. And we are going to quick sim this game against the 0-2 Chiefs, although let's quickly take a look. We have a 10 overall point advantage. They still have Mahomes and Kelsey, but this should be a win, and I can't help but wonder if there might be some differences in the simming between jumping into it and simming from the menu as we pick up a gigantic 34-7 victory. We move to 3-0 on the year. We'll be heading to Philadelphia next week, and we get a ton of upgrade points here. James Landry up to an 84. A tremendous O-line improvement taking over for Shaq Mason ultimately. His fourth year really. Reggie Choice is up to an 82. And again, what a player he is proving to be. The 24-year-old X Factor. Ricky Sparks gets an upgrade point. We'll just get him better as pass coverage because there's no way we're going to get him as a scheme fit. That's just not going to happen. Sparks up to a 77. And Lionel Hill on the D-line is up to a 76, one of our draft picks from this past season. Very intrigued to see what that dev pattern ultimately is. So we know Cooper is gone at the end of this year. I'm already just going to tell him now that, yeah, you're done. That way we don't get the alert about it anymore. We won't get an alert until next week when we have to look at re-signing James Landry. For wide receivers, I am not all that optimistic anymore, but we will continue to take a look. And, yeah, that's a whole lot of average. We're going to look at everybody because I'm stubborn. But, yeah, I'm not that optimistic here. At least, even Antoine Vines. I mean, the first 3 grades are okay. It's not looking too good. So, yeah, we just wasted a lot of points there, but that's okay. We play the Eagles in Philadelphia. We have a 5 overall point advantage. They are led by Fletcher Cox, Zach Ertz, and Cooper Kupp. Max security for Ertz at tight end. We'll see what we can do here. Will the Eagles hand us our first loss of the season? No, they will not. We move to 4-0. We do pick up an injury, and it's Cooper. He's only out for a week, though, with a minor shoulder tear. And in fairness, what I do want to do is go over to the schedule and take a look at the stats for the past 2 games. So 2 fairly convincing victories in a row. You'll be able to get a quick look at the stats there if you care to that much. It was a dominant second quarter that really led the way for us. Mahomes, I mean, not nearly as impressive of a performance as you would think. Dawson, 274 yards with 4 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins got involved a little bit. Rushing-wise, Michelle, solid, but nothing too crazy ultimately. Receiving-wise, it was Cooper and Hooper leading the way because, of course, they had 2 touchdowns up for Trent Taylor. Blocking-wise, no sacks allowed. Defensively, great games from Miles Jack and Coco Ivy, who impressed in that Dolphins game. In particular, sacks for Lawson and Trey Hendrickson, an interception for Justin Evans. And in this past week against the Eagles, what did we have? Again, nearly 400 yards of offense. Chase Dawson is looking pretty damn good. 276 yards, 3 touchdowns on 21 completions out of 30 attempts. Kirk Cousins with a 13-yard completion as well. Running-wise, a little bit of, still, fairly impressive for Sony. Not bad. Sheffield with a rushing touchdown. Had just 4 carries, or 4 yards on 3 carries. Easy for me to say, as we're hitting all the wrong buttons. Gotta love it. Receiving-wise, Cooper led the way in receptions and in yardage. He had a touchdown, as did Michelle and Sheffield. So the backfield a little bit more involved. Only 1 sack allowed. Defensively, Evans and Sparks leading the way. Big day for Ricky Sparks this past week. Couple of sacks as well for Lawson. 1 for Abukum. No picks. Will Lutz was not called upon. And again, we are 4-0 on the season thus far as we head to MetLife to take on the New York Jets. Cooper going to make it back up to an 88. Again, he'll be out for the week, but definitely the right time to cut bait with him as the regression begins to set in. And Ben Monroe at corner, again, quietly improving. Another one of those corners that we took a risk on in this past draft. Hidden dev, though, and again, we're making sure that he gets plenty of playing time. So scouting-wise, I mean, let's just see if there's anything redeemable out of these wide receivers. If not, I don't know what the hell we're going to do in this draft. I mean, yeah, we're looking at guys who are like 3rd-round talents. So, I mean, we need B pluses, basically. B's just aren't enough. Yeah, there's nothing there. So wide receiver-wise, we're going to have a rough time. We're going to have a very rough time finding anybody. We are going to scout out tight ends next because this might also be Austin Hooper's last season here. We took a couple of tight ends in the last draft, and we might be calling upon them quite heavily heading into next season. Unfortunately, unless there is a big offseason after this year, we might be taking a bit of a step back. The pressure's on a little bit to win this year. And I mean, when you look at what we've scouted out thus far, I don't know how much help is going to be coming through the draft. We are going to have to rely on free agency quite a bit. Tight end's a complete waste for the most part. The top option, Travis Crosby, as a receiving option is looking pretty good. And as a blocking option, we have Noah Westbrook. Vertical threat, also not too bad. So 3 decent options. And on the O-line, Isaiah Wynn is someone who people called upon to be replaced for quite a while. But he has settled down since we moved him off of left tackle. Shields is fine. Roman's fine. Gary Young's doing well. We have Landry. Wynn's 27. So the O-line isn't needed as much, but we could find a Wynn replacement. Barnett is still going to be able to do the job. You could talk about maybe moving on from Lawson, but that's fine because we have Lionel Hill. Still, could trade Dexter Lawrence while he still has some relatively high value. There are a couple of positions on defense where you could talk about maybe having an extreme need still. I think corner really sticks out unless we get a good season worth of development from Coco Ivy and Ben Monroe. And then, of course, it's safety. Finding a replacement for Justin Evans would probably be pretty good. So I think we're going to focus on the secondary next. The O-line, we could get improvements there if we desperately needed it. Or at the very least, if we have time. I'm not going to worry about it for now, especially because there is no defensive back scout. So we'll hire the linebacker scout in Max Francis, but we're going to have to use up quite a few points here as we almost have that wideout boost, which is very nice. Hopefully we'll have that heading into next season. That'll be very beneficial with us losing Amari Cooper. So we'll be using a lot of points here, but that is okay. DJ Quigley. What a name. Oh, God. Wow, so there's nobody projected to go that high amongst these safeties. Although, Kent Gray's okay. It didn't really hold up there. But yeah, we'll be using up a lot of points. I believe this is James Landry, whose deal is up. Indeed it is. We will obviously be bringing him back. Willing to give him a 6-year deal. Will he sign it? Yes, he will. So James Landry is going to be here until he is at least 30 years old. And that sets us up to take on the Jets. Can we move to 5-0 is the question. And the answer is no. So the Jets hand us our first loss of the season, 27-21. The division rivals continue to give us trouble, despite the fact that we've done very well in the division over the past few years. Division rivals continue to be a bit of a problem. Just defensively, we didn't have the game that you would expect us to have. He may be seeing ghosts, but he also threw 3 touchdowns and no picks. That's very unrealistic. Dawson was fine. Can't really blame him. The running game was okay. Just under 4 yards a carry is not bad. Hooper and Spears, 8 receptions for Jaquan Spears. So he got a lot of work with Cooper being out, and perhaps that was the difference maker on offense, not having Cooper. Blocking-wise, though, I just praised Isaiah Wynn. He got brutalized. This O-line really struggled against that Jets defense. I know I didn't take a look at the overalls, and I kind of regret that now. We'll see what that team looks like, though, next week. 2 weeks from now. We play them in week 8. But, yeah, our O-line was absolutely decimated by this Jets defense, led by Jamal Adams, Quinnen Williams, C.J. Mosley still there, Fred Warner. I guess I can see it. They have Ross Kyle, 2 first names, but decent enough player. They have a decent defense. It's kind of interesting that we've seen our team shut down someone like Myles Garrett, but then that defense gave us as much trouble as they did. It is what it is, though, and we'll move on. Let's see what we have scouting-wise here. We might as well look. I hate when it doesn't register the down button. Oh, boy. The C+ isn't that bad. I'd rather take a look at Raphael White. And, okay, Reese and Callaway, both solid, which is nice, but this is not the best draft for safeties, it would appear. Decent, but no top-notch talent. that looks likely to replace Justin Evans anytime soon. We have a 4 overall point advantage on the Bills. And speaking of decent defense, that linebacker core leads the way for the Milano, McDonald, and Edwards. They have Ed Oliver as well. Josh Allen is a superstar. Buffalo's looking pretty good. I mean, I'd still argue that we're better, and the overall would go to show that. But I could easily see us being 4-2. We've had a lot of road games to start the season, but Amari Cooper is back, and hopefully that's the difference maker that we need, and it's not. Back-to-back losses to division rivals. We lose to the Jets and the Bills in consecutive weeks. Dawson has a strong performance, but that is a rough way to go. We are still alone atop the AFC East, but some concerns. After a decent start with wins over Kansas City and Philadelphia, we lose back-to-back close games, one-score games against two division rivals. And again, it was the defense that wasn't exactly on point. We were outscored 14-0 in the fourth quarter. Josh Allen, I mean, he was all right, but he didn't really compare to Dawson, who had a phenomenal game. The running game was, again, just all right. No real complaints. I mean, receiving-wise, Hooper and Cooper did what they do. Sheffield with 2 touchdowns. Christensen, I believe, gets his first receiving touchdown. Isaiah Wynn continuing to be just a little bit of a problem. They really tested the secondary of Choice and Jackson have that many tackles on the day. A pick for Terrell Godfrey, but it wasn't enough, and we fall short. So we're down to 4-2 on the season. We do have upgrade points. Points indeed. N'Keal Harry is going to make it up to an 86, I'm guessing. Indeed, he does. So very, very good. A ton of points for him. He is going to be the number 1 moving forward. Coco Ivy. Hopefully we can get him as a scheme fit. We don't, but he does make it up to a 76. Plus 2 in tackling for the normal dev. Again, he's 21, though. And Oliver Sheffield is up to a 71. So we have a couple of these fringe players that if we can just get that dev pattern up, we'll be good. We still don't know what Sheffield's dev pattern is with certainty, but he's going to be pretty damn good as we get to take on the Giants. Get to stay, or I was going to say get to stay down to MetLife, kind of like the Bills did earlier this year, but it is a home game. For the first time in a while, I am going to waste points, and that is indeed what I just did. But we might as well. So, safety-wise, again, there is some talent here, but I don't think outside of Callaway or Reese that anybody has a decent shot of being good enough to replace Evans. Time will tell. Corner-wise, there's a little bit of talent, including Quantavious Bramble. Quantavious Bramble. Good God, man. The names are just tremendous. We have a contract to negotiate. That is Derek Barnett, who I am down to keep for a little bit. He wants a 3-year deal. He's looking to get paid, but he's also an X Factor. So I am willing to overspend. And there we go. So Derek Barnett will be back for a decent amount of time. Again, 81's a bit low to be handing that much money to him, but he's an X Factor, and we could deal him if we deem that necessary. The Giants, at this point, we have a 9 overall point advantage, but they do have a linebacker, an X Factor linebacker, Camille Loud. Monday prime time here. They also have Saquon still. Loud has unstoppable force. They have Peppers, Zietler still, Pippen, Locklear, McGee, and Sharpton. So some decent pieces on this New York team, this New York side, but we need to get a win here and get our momentum back as we lose our 3rd straight game from 4-0 to 4-3. The Jets, the Giants. Oh my God, this is scary now. Chase Dawson gets an upgrade point, but 3 straight losses for this team. You have to wonder whether or not there's a move to be made here. Terrence Abraham's going to get an upgrade point. He's up to a 75. But goddamn, plus 3 catching. Jesus, Terrence. There you go. Normal dev, but still not a bad option. I mean, we are no longer atop the division. Buffalo at 4-2-1 is in that number 1 spot. I am slightly concerned. I don't know what the hell's going on with this team. Maybe there's a bit too much trust in some of our younger guys. Perhaps that is the issue. Bramble's the real deal, by the way. What else do we got? Let's scout these next two. Jesus! Jermichael Torrance might be the worst corner I have ever seen for someone who is actually projected to be drafted. So again, we know what this Jets team looks like. We have a 5 overall edge. They still have Le'Veon Bell. I'm worried, though. We need a win here. Desperately. Desperately. And you know what? I'm actually going to take a look at the lineup. Maybe a scheme change on defense if there's one that's close to what we run. Maybe that's the way to do it. Vertical power run is a 73 fit. The offense isn't necessarily an issue. Vertical zone run's a 78. So you know what? Let's get a change. 3-4 unders is a 68. Base 3-4 is a 75. And that's what we're going to switch to, is a base 3-4. So we'll change those up just to see if that works. We're still sticking with the New England playbooks, of course. But hopefully we can see this team get back on track. We need a win here heading into the Week 9 bye week. And we do ultimately get the win, 38-23. So we finally snap what felt like a ridiculous losing streak. And I suppose a 3-game losing streak for a team of this caliber is a bit ridiculous. Last week against the Giants, again, just the defense wasn't great. And the offense, unfortunately, couldn't keep us close. You see, Dawson was fine. The running game just never really even got a chance. We just didn't run the ball. But I do wonder how we stack up against the Jets. The defense was still rough, but the offense was able to get the job done. I mean, Dawson just continuing to dominate. I mean, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Sony Michel had a much better game on the ground. Kirk Cousins had a rushing touchdown. Receiving-wise, Cooper and Taylor, 3 touchdowns for Trent Taylor, 1 for Hooper. And blocking-wise, Josh Shields had a bit of a rough game. So maybe we are looking at having to make some changes. Coco Ivy with a pick. Maybe that'll be the one thing I do here, is just change up where people are slotting in on the O-line. It's kind of the one easy thing we can look to change. So let's see what we have here. I'll actually go to the normal depth chart and see what we have here. God, I love seeing Bazooka on Chase Dawson. So, I mean, Shields, Roman, Young at center. Not really much we can do. I'm going to move Isaiah Wynn back to the left, which sounds like a nightmare. But we're going to try it just to see what the hell happens. At least that way there's a minor change. Maybe that'll help. I can only hope. Contract negotiation. Trent Taylor is up. Unfortunately, he's 29. He's 29. Wants a 3-year deal. He's been great for us. I'm just worried about regression. So we'll wait until the end of the year. Again, Cooper, you could argue maybe that would have been the better way, is to just wait until the end of the year. But even if he hits the free agent list, we'll have a chance to bring him back. Terrell Godfrey gets an overall point. Can we get him as a scheme fit? No, we can't, but he is up to an 84 overall, +2 in man coverage. The 22-year-old X-Factor, Clinton Tuck, is already a scheme fit as a run stopper. We get him up to an 83. Another star on this defense. And Isaiah Collins is a depth linebacker. We get him up to a 71 overall, rocking the number 54, as great Patriots linebackers do. So I don't know. Maybe I'll regret that Cooper move. I don't know how much I will, but there's a bit of a potential that I'll end up regretting just not waiting to see how much he's going to regress. But it's obvious it's going to be an expensive deal. Oh boy. Am I regretting this decision? Somewhat, but you know what? We're doing it. I'm sticking to it. We're doing this, damn it. We're doing this. Oh boy. Yeah, anybody below Kai Faison might not be worth looking at, though. Good thing is, it's the bye week. We head to LA to take on the 5-3 Chargers, as we will waste more points scouting corners, because why the hell not? Let's see. Ooh, this is a little bit rough. Talent level's dropping a little bit. Although Sanders is still looking pretty good. Faison, could have been a little bit better. I need to see C+s here. Whitworth is okay, and the rest of them, not so much. So that'll move us over to linebackers, where, hey, there are some decent options, including Eddie Gonzalez, and I can see why he was towards the top half of the list. He is pretty goddamn ridiculous. The Chargers at this point, 75 rated, 2 X Factors, and Joey Bosa and Jatavis Brown. They have Desmond King as well. This is another game that really should be a win. Let's see what we can do. Can we get our 6th win of the year, or will it be right back to the L column? It is a big-time win. 38-14 moves us up to 6-3 on the season as we get ready to host Denver. Derek Barnett improves, gets him up to an 82 overall. That's probably the last upgrade point he'll ever see in his career, barring Super Bowl wins and Defensive Player of the Year awards. And Dante Hightower improves as well. Dante, what are we going to do? Let's go Power Rusher to get you back up to a 72. Perhaps one of my favorite Patriots of all time. He is just ridiculous. And shout out to EA for finally giving the Patriots defense the respect they deserve in real life, bumping up the likes of Kyle Van Noy and Adam Butler. Very appreciated and long overdue. Chase Dawson had a rushing touchdown this past week. Let's take a look here, shall we? I want to get a quick look at how we did. So again, that Jets game, 38-23. Like I said, just the offense was fortunately able to hold on. But the story against the Chargers was similar. A little bit better, though, and the offense went off against what you would expect to be a pretty damn good defense. Dawson, 3 touchdowns and a pick, but 291 yards. Rushing-wise, big game for Sony Michel. Again, Dawson and Pollard with rushing touchdowns. He had more touchdowns for Trent Taylor. Again, I love Trent Taylor, and as a slot option, he is great, but his age is starting to be a little bit concerning with how regression seems to work still in Madden. Numerous tackles for loss. Phillip Rivers isn't there anymore, but he just woke up in a cold sweat, and he doesn't know why. So that is another win. Unfortunately, this episode might be remembered for that 3-game losing streak. As scouting-wise, we'll continue to take a look at linebackers and re-signings. I think we'll leave it for now. I wanted to get that Landry deal done. We'll take a look at everybody else afterwards. So all of the talent here. Juan Conley, looking okay. It's looking like the majority of these guys are going to be, I was going to say decent, and then that ended up not being the case. Middle linebackers, not bad to start off with the top 3. So we take on the 4-5 Denver Broncos in Week 11, 5 overall point edge. They have an X-Factor quarterback in Josh Lentz and an X-Factor linebacker in Alan Silas. So this could be a pretty tough game. If we get a win, though, that'd be a nice statement victory against a pretty tough team, and it is a win. It's a close win, but a win nonetheless, 28-21. That moves us up to 7-3 as we get us some upgrade points. Miles Jack. Try to get him as a scheme fit? Holy shit. So he's not a scheme fit, but he does go up by 2, plus 3 zone coverage For the 27-year-old, he's now an 89 overall. Tyus Bowser makes it up to a 75. Again, a depth linebacker for us this season. Shaq Barrett, just go there. So he's up to a 74. Pretty damn good. And Gardner Minshew. Good old Gardner Minshew is up to a 62 overall. I would hope he wasn't in the game at any point, but he might have been. As we get ready to play the 2-8 Washington Dan Snyders, we'll see what we have schedule-wise, or not schedule-wise, but what we had stat-wise against Denver. Much better game for the defense, holding them under 300 yards. That was the key. Lentz had a great game for him. That was a quarterback duel, but Dawson comes out on top. Very, very good. He's obviously in the running for quarterback of the year. Sonny Michel and Sheffield, decent 1-2 punch for us. Receiving-wise, touchdowns for Hooper, Taylor, and Sonny Michel. The O-line struggled a bit, but held on. Defensively, Miles Jack has a pretty damn big game. Numerous tackles for loss. 3 sacks as well for Miles Jack. That would explain the upgrades, I would say. And yet again, Will Lutz was never called upon. So week 12. Weekly awards, what do we have really quickly? It is Miles Jack for those 3 sacks. That sounds about right. Again, we'll worry about re-signings later, so we'll go and focus on linebackers. We should hopefully be able to round out the defense and then scout the O-line as the scouting time comes to a close. And, you know, some of these linebackers are looking pretty damn good. I can't really complain. Some of these linebackers are looking pretty damn good, man. A damn good class as we get ready to take on Washington. Looking for our 8th win of the season. We have a 6 overall point edge. Landon Collins and Ryan Kerrigan still leading the way. Former Patriot Philip Dorsett, one of their top 3. Let's see what we can do here. Can we get our 8th win of the year? Yes, we can. 24-10. So regardless of why it happened, the good thing is this team is back on track as Ricky Sparks makes it up to a 78 overall. Very good development from him this season, despite not being a scheme fit. Lionel Hill is up to a 77. Should have his potential confirmed. It's Starr at 21. And Amani Hooker at safety, who was just a depth signing, is up to a 73. Not too shabby for the 25-year-old. So we'll get the scouting out of the way here first before we get ready to play Cleveland. Just because, again, these middle linebackers were looking pretty damn good. Brendan Moss. Jesus on Easter Sunday. Well, linebacker isn't the biggest need for this team going forward, but needless to say, we could improve that situation quite a bit moving forward with this upcoming draft, especially for those middle linebackers. We're up to 8-3, 2 games clear of the Miami Dolphins atop the division. Just want to get a quick look at some of the stats from last week, as it's now 4 straight wins. The defense held them to only 250 yards. Big part of the reason as to why we won that game. Haskins, not so great for Washington. Another tremendous game for Chase Dawson. Ground game with Michel, relatively strong. Hooper with touchdowns, or touchdown. Terrence Abraham and Oliver Sheffield as well. Blocking-wise, not too shabby. I guess it could have been better. Big games for Lawson and Godfrey. Why those are the 2 that you would target, I have no idea. It was a pretty rough day at the office for Mr. Haskins as Lutz hits the only field goal that he was called upon to make. So week 13, we take on Cleveland. The 81 rated Browns, the big 3, are still there, so it's no wonder why they're 9-2 on the season. Biggest game of the year here. Let's see what we can do, and we walk away with another win. So we're up to 9-3 on the season. That's 5 wins in a row now, I do believe. And yeah, man, to beat Cleveland 28-14 at this stage in the season, that's a statement win. This team had its midseason struggle, but we are back in fine form now. Eduardo Roman +3 in pass block power for the 22-year-old. And Josh Shields also improves. We get him up to a scheme fit, and he's now a 79 overall. The 23-year-old star development tackle. So I can't really ask for anything more. We're looking damn good right now. And that's where this team should be. It's what this team is ultimately capable of. As we need to change to a defensive line scout, although you could argue the O-line's a little bit more important than the D-line at this point. We'll see if we have a scout for both. Is there a D-line scout? There is, but there's no O-line scout. All right, so we'll get the D-line taken care of next. We'll bring on Kevin Brooks. And do we have that wide receiver boost already? Yes, we do. Holy shit, the upgrade points. So we'll get that training boost on wideouts, and we'll wait it out from there. I mean, the kicker's the last one, but I still don't think we're going to need a new kicker anytime soon. I could go with Master Trade Negotiator. I'm not too worried, though. I mean, again, it's not that difficult to kind of cheese the AI even without that, so I'm not too concerned. Let's see what we have on the D-line. But yeah, man, linebackers and some members of the secondary are looking pretty damn good. So DTs, it's relatively rough. Holy hell. William Drew. That is not what I was expecting from somebody of your current ranking. That's very interesting. If his strength is on point too, that could be ridiculous. But fresh off the back of that win against Cleveland, we get to play the 8-4 Indy Colts. Let's see what they're looking like. Of course, we started this series shortly before Andrew Luck retired. They also have Melvin Gordon at this point, but we're now up to an 83 overall team, so we have a 5-point edge on the Colts. Let's see what we can do. Week 14. Can we continue cruising towards the playoffs? No, we can't. The Colts get the win. That drops us to 9-4 on the season and could hurt our chances, potentially, of being the top team in the conference. I mean, unless we truly choke here, we should be fine en route to another division title. This game against Buffalo will go a long way. But we do beat a good team in Cleveland and lose a close game to a good team in Indianapolis. So certainly not unbeatable. Not that I expected us to be. But another huge win there would have been great. I can't deny that. There's a dude named Darren Boston, so naturally we have to draft him. I don't make the rules. It's just the way it is, and he's looking like he's okay. So, before we play Buffalo, how did we do? We're at 9-4, so one win pretty much seals it. And on top of the AFC, I mean, we're third right now, tied with Indy at 9-4, but Cleveland is atop the conference, so we got to win these last 3 games to keep pace if we can. And just to take a quick look at what happened against Indy, again, before we play this game. If there's a quicker way to get to this, by the way, let me know. And yeah, I mean, it was just an offensive showdown. They won in overtime. Could have been anybody's game. Can't really hate it. Andrew Luck with 5 touchdown passes. Dawson was phenomenal again, but it went to overtime. And that's just how overtime can go. So, you know, Hooper, Taylor, Abraham with receiving touchdowns. The O-line held up relatively well. They targeted J.C. Jackson a ton. He must have been on their number 1 or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, hey, you lost in overtime, right? These things can happen. I just wonder, had we gotten a possession, I'm assuming that we didn't, what would have happened. We play the Bills again. looking for revenge for a loss earlier this season, and a win pretty much secures the division title. Can we get the job done? Yes, we can. Not overly convincingly, but a 17-9 win with 2 weeks left. That should, again, secure us the division title, and we'll still have a shot at being the top seed in the conference as Trey Hendrickson, who again was a depth signing this year, gets an upgrade point. We'll take a look at the stats from the last game in a moment. For now, let's take a look at what other right ends we have here. Right edge. Do you have anything for us? Right edge. And the answer is kind of John Harrell out of Penn State. Looking pretty damn good. Yeah, there's some options. Darren Boston's not that bad either. And then on the left-hand side, not going to be able to perfectly scout this out. Good God, Sammy Kirby out of Louisville. That is something else. So at 10-4, we have sealed. No, we haven't. Not yet. But if we beat Miami, we will, because they are our closest competition. We have jumped the Colts, the Ravens, and Jags also at 9-5. We need to keep pace with Cleveland, who are the first team in the AFC to punch their playoff ticket. If we beat the Dolphins, we'll be looking all right. I don't think there's not going to be too much to look at from that Buffalo game as far as what happened. I mean, only 17 points on the board. Let's sim this game against Miami. Do we get the win? We do. And with that, it's another division title secured. And right now, we are still neck and neck. Cleveland with the slight edge. But we are on pace to be the second best team in the AFC. We're currently the third best team in the NFL. But that is another AFC East division title claimed by the Patriots, 28-20 over Miami. As we'll take a look at the upgrades. Good God. Chase Dawson will make it up to an 87, playing like an 89. And there's a very good chance that he's going to win MVP this year. I think he was worth it. He's already the sixth best quarterback in the league. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely insane. Again, that fifth ability slot at a 95, he has a good chance of making it. Reggie Choice. I'm going to try to bump him up. You know what? No, we're just going to go for overall. Let's get him up to an 83. I'd love to get him to a scheme fit, but we'll just get him up to an 83 overall. The 24-year-old Kerry Young. Again, just make that overall, prioritize that. Make that the priority rather than worrying about making him a scheme fit. Will Lutz, of all people, just improved. Make him better from a power perspective. He's up to a 79. How old is he at this point? 29. Might have to start worrying about a kicker relatively soon. Coco Ivy is up to a 77. So, hey, the dev pattern isn't what we wanted out of the gates, but he's still looking pretty damn good. As Parrish Winters makes it up to a 72. Very, very good. Very, very good indeed. We play the 5-8-2 Raiders. 2 draws this season. That's insanity. Let's see what else we have here on the left-hand side. That's a shallow pool is what that is. But we'll take a full look at what's there. Tyrone McCrary is okay. But top-notch talent is pretty much on point. No real complaints there. And again, we'll have all the time in the world to scout out the O-line. So in terms of contract negotiations, again, Cooper, I might regret saying that I'm letting him go. But with how much money he's looking for and knowing that he's going to regress, he'll probably be down to an 86, 85, 86. We'll see by the end of the year. I think with all of these guys, I'm waiting it out. The only real ones I'm concerned about are Lutz and Trent Taylor. Everybody else is a random depth signing. It's those two that I'm mainly concerned about bringing back. So that's the good thing. We don't have to worry about signing too many players. So let's see what we can do. Final game of the season. We'll sim this quickly against Oakland. And we do get the win. 31-21. Whether or not we were able to tie Cleveland and secure that top seed, we'll find out in a moment as we will take care of these upgrade points. Ben Monroe with 2. Might be able to get him as a scheme fits. He's up to a 74 after the man-to-man upgrade. And you know what? We'll just make him better as a slot option. Let's do that. Get him up to a legitimate 75 overall. So pretty good from Ben. Star development for the 22-year-old rookie. Very happy with him. Speaking of very happy with someone, Terrell Godfrey. We'll just make you an 85. Screw it, because that dark green looks a hell of a lot better. And he gets an ability slot out of it too. So he's not a scheme fit. He's a 22-year-old X Factor. Oh my God. He's the 14th rated corner. Crazy, man. Just crazy. Reinforcement. So, good stuff there. He also has Unfakeable. This team's going to be fun to actually play with at some point. I'm going to have to do that, like in a preseason game. Just play with this team and have a blast. James Landry is a legitimate 85 overall guard. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. He's the 5th rated right guard right now. Just a monster. Doesn't have much finesse, as he just made his 2nd Pro Bowl, apparently. And Clinton Tuck, speaking of monsters, is an 84, but playing like an 85. The 23-year-old X Factor, the 11th rated DT in the league, has apparently made his 3rd Pro Bowl in his 3rd season. He has made the Pro Bowl every single year he's been in the league. I think he was a pretty damn good pick. Godfrey has that ability slot, of course. But at 12-4, again, we are postseason bound. We did finish behind Cleveland, though. So the Browns are the top team in the league and in the AFC. Out of the North, the Browns and Ravens made it. Out of the South, you have the Jags and the Colts. We were the only team out of the AFC East to make it. Out of the West, the Chargers. In the NFC North, the Packers, who also won the NFC. The Saints made it out of the South. And out of the East, the Cowboys, which means out of the West, we have 3 teams. The Rams, Cards, and Seahawks. Best team in the league, the Browns. The worst, Washington. The Washington Dan Snyders continue to struggle. Taking a look at the stats, let's see what we got. As we'll take a look at player stats first. As Chase Dawson, over 4,200 yards, 376 completions, 46. Oh my God. Holy shit, dude. 46 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Tom Brady's offspring went to college at Tennessee. My God. He almost hit 50. That would have been beautiful. And Kirk Cousins, by the way, with a touchdown as well. Way to go, Kirk. I do like that. Rushing-wise, Sony Michel over 1,100 yards, but only 5 touchdowns, which is shocking how anemic our running game was in terms of the red zone. Sheffield with 2 touchdowns. Dawson had 1. Pollard with 2 and 1 for Cousins. Receiving-wise, good God. 99 receptions for Austin Hooper, 74 for Cooper. Both Hooper and Cooper over 1,000 yards. Hooper just barely. Touchdown-wise, though, 13 for Taylor, 10 for Austin Hooper. Blocking-wise, the O-line struggled a bit at times, but nobody was in double digits, which is very impressive. Defensively, Miles Jack, 120 tackles. It was also 104 for Ricky Sparks. Tackles for loss, 15 for Sparks, 12 for Tuck and Lawson. Quarterback sacks on the year, 10 for Clinton Tuck. Lawson and Hill were also up there. Interceptions-wise, 3 for Justin Evans. He led the way on this team. And kicking-wise, Will Lutz was only called upon 18 times. He hit 15 of those kicks. Let's take a look around the league here, shall we? As passing-wise, Aaron Rodgers led the way in yardage. Then Baker, Dawson was in 3rd. In terms of total completions, Dawson was behind Rodgers, so Rodgers likely ruins Dawson's chances for MVP, although he led the way with that 46-6 ratio, which is just disgusting. He's so good. My God. He had 3 guys pass for at least 40 touchdowns this year as well. Rushing-wise, Zeke led the way. Only 4 guys got 300 carries on the season. And yardage-wise, only 1 broke 2,000. He was the only one close. Ezekiel Elliott will win running back of the year unless they give it to Barkley off of the 16 touchdowns. Receiving-wise, the reception king was Kendrick Bourne, the only man to break 100. In terms of yardage, Christian Kirk had 5 more yards than Michael Thomas. That is crazy. The touchdown king, Dante Moncrief, with 18. Christian Kirk was up there as well. The worst O-lineman in the league was Jason Adkins in Washington. So there you go. Cliff Wiener was also up there. That is an absolutely hilarious name because I'm 8 years old. Defensively, Dylan Cole led the way in terms of tackles. Tremaine Edmonds and Devin Bush had busy seasons as well. Tackles for loss, Aaron Donald with 21. And in terms of sacks, 18 for Von Miller. In Detroit, the interception king, Garyon Conley with the Raiders. And then kicking-wise, Jake Elliott, the only man to hit at least 20 field goals on the season. Team stats this year, in terms of total offensive yards, we weren't up there. I mean, we were one of the few teams, I guess I can't say few, to have over 7,000 yards of total offense. Well, I mean, I guess the offensive yards, we were 5th, which is nice. Passing yards, we were 3rd. Rushing yards, we were mid-table. We had 16 points per game, though. 3rd best in the league at a 28.2. Passing touchdowns, we had 47, which is the most in the league, but the fewest rushing touchdowns. So again, it's interesting. I want to take a look at our red zone offense, which relied solely on the passing game, as we were up there 6th in terms of the most first downs. Defensively, surprisingly, in terms of total yards allowed, we weren't towards the top. Passing yards allowed, we were the 5th highest. Rushing yards allowed, we weren't really up there. We had the 4th fewest, so that's pretty nice. Points allowed, 2nd fewest. Cleveland, the only team to allow under 300 points. Sacks this year, we had 43, the most in the league. I love it. Fumble recoveries, we had 4. And for interceptions, we were mid-table somewhere. In terms of conversions, can I really see this? Where do we have our old red zone efficiency? So the efficiency was up there. Now, what I want to take a look at, I guess I can't see what was a rushing touchdown or a passing touchdown, but we know the rushing touchdowns were low. We were also mid-table in terms of penalties. So a very, very good season for us, no doubt about it. Crobert Raft with a season to remember by regular season standards. We'll see what happens from there. I'm going to save the awards until later on. So the question is, who are we going to be playing in the next round? We have struggled in the playoffs for this entire series. Will this year be the year? It's Colts, Jags, Seahawks, Saints, Ravens, Chargers, Cardinals, and Rams in the wild card. Well, let's find out. Beginning of next episode, how is it kicking off? It will be the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round. The Patriots host Duval as we look to finally get that damn monkey off of our back and start winning in the postseason. Again, Jacksonville sneaks past Indy, which is a blessing in disguise, perhaps, to not have to play luck in the Colts. The Saints get past Seattle. Chargers take care of Baltimore. And the Cardinals crush the Rams. So it's Chargers, Browns, Cards, Packers, Jags, and Pats, Saints, and Cowboys to kick off the next episode. Again, it'll be a longer episode no matter what. Whether or not that means we go deep into the playoffs or we go through the offseason and head into the draft. We'll have to wait to see what happens. But after a 12-4 season, can we really handle another postseason disappointment?